मैं शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं स्वयं स्वच्छता के प्रति सजग रहूंगा और उसके लिए समय दूंगा। हर वर्ष
You're watching Election Center. That was Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, administering a Swachhata pledge, a pledge of purity and cleanliness to a gathering of the state's bureaucrats, an attempt perhaps to try and recast his image as someone who's until now been seen as a Hindutva hardliner and whose appointment sent shockwaves. Now, is the Yogi trying to cast himself not as the hero of Hindutva, but as the Vikas purush? And is that makeover convincing? That's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. But amongst the first decisions taken by the BJP government is to start closing down slaughterhouses. This is something that was part of their manifesto. And in fact, up on the screen are visuals of 2 slaughterhouses in Allahabad that have been closed. Were they closed because they were illegal or not is not entirely clear. But this is part of the BJP's agenda as well in Uttar Pradesh. The Yogi, in fact, moving into the Chief Minister's residence earlier today after a puja was held by priests that were flown in from the Gorakhnath temple. So, what exactly is going to be the impact of Yogi Raj in Uttar Pradesh? And are the concerns being raised about Adityanath's past valid, or has he moved on from that controversial legacy? Joining me to give us some answers, we hope, is Siddharthnath Singh, who is familiar to all of us as someone who's been on many of our panels as a spokesperson, but is now a minister in the Yogi Sarkar. Many congratulations to you, Siddharth. We welcome you in your new avatar, where sadly, the gain, Uttar Pradesh's gain is our loss, because we can no longer have you on debates. We are only agreeing to do now one-on-ones as a minister. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Tell us, Siddharthnath Singh, tell us that, just to digest for a lot of people who are still tuning in and processing the fact that the BJP chose Yogi Adityanath, who is now your chief minister. Given his track record, given the number of cases against him, the very provocative and divisive comments he's made, was this really the best candidate for a party which has said that they will follow the slogan of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas?
Well, I think it is a good choice, and unanimously all the MLAs welcomed it, and that's what democracy is all about. But I have a little different take on it. We all understand, Srinivas, that there is a difficult situation which is existing in Uttar Pradesh, and that has been, let's not criticize the earlier governments for it. We can all debate about it. But the situation today, when we come in the government, the situation is bad. The law and order is gone absolutely worse. There is issues of development, misgovernance, everything is there. So there's a simple English saying. Well, I have a simple English saying on it. When the going is tough, the tough gets going, and you will agree, Yogi Adityanath ji is known as a tough taskmaster. He has a track record also in Gorakhpur as an MP of a go-getter. He gets things done. So I think it's a good choice, and we do need a tough master at the top to get things implemented in a disciplined manner.
Let me take you up on some of those points you made, because when you talk about law and order as a priority for this new government and as a problem in Uttar Pradesh, which few people would deny, but here you have as Chief Minister someone who himself faces a number of serious charges, 14 cases in all, and these charges, and we'll put that graphics up on the screen for you, range from attempt to murder, punishment for rioting, rioting armed with a deadly weapon, promoting enmity between different groups on grounds of religion. Is this someone who we then appoint to clean up law and order? What sort of signal is this sending out?
Well, no, but, again, I will, if I give an answer to it, you will not be just satisfied, and you will say, there's a simple rhetoric that these are politically motivated. But I would rather go ahead, yes, it is politically motivated, but there is a law and order machinery of the country. There have been various governments for the last 14 years. Were they sleeping? What was the investigative department doing? Just keeping a case alive? Why should something like that happen? So we are very clear that there is nothing but a politically motivated cases against him, which doesn't hold water, and we are happy that he is the chief minister. If there is anything, we have fought battles on our leaders in the various states. We are confident if its situation arises, we can fight that battle.
No, but you know, when you say politically motivated cases, you're right, that it does tend to sound like rhetoric, because all parties say that. I mean, Mukhtar Ansari actually says that the charges against him are politically motivated. Raja Bhaiya says the charges are politically motivated. Gayatri Prajapati says that the charges are politically motivated. The problem here is
there's a difference.
The problem here, the difference is now that you have a person who faces these charges may well argue that they're politically motivated. But imagine what this sends out as a signal to the law and order machinery, to those who are upholding the law.
In fact, I'm sorry.
He met with senior police officials.
No, I'm sorry.
Somebody who faces charges still being tried is put in charge of law and order.
No. Vasu, let me put this. Today somebody can come and make a charge against me. I'm sitting in my cousin's house and make a charge against me for anything, even molestation or anything like that. But that's a charge. When you talk about Gayatri Prajapati, don't get confused. There's a law that Gayatri Prajapati, it's just not a charge. There is a Supreme Court, and with the facts, it has been there is a conviction, a preliminary case against him.
Okay, but Siddharth,
and therefore the Supreme Court intervened and said, let's go ahead about it, and he should be arrested.
Okay, but
when
even
you talk
in the
about
case
Atiq Ahmed, the people like them, they've been arrested on the High Court order. So let's not get confused.
Okay, but even in the case
somebody making a charge, and then there is a High Court or Supreme Court order.
Okay, but Siddharth, even in the case of Yogi Adityanath, there is a CBCID charge sheet that was filed against him in the 2007 Gorakhpur riots case, and he in fact spent some time in jail as well. So it's not just allegations made by individuals. They were probed. A report was submitted. A report was submitted to the state government, and an arrest was made. So. But let me ask you this.
No, don't end it. No, Vasu, you must complete it.
Okay.
You are talking about a case, and then you're leaving it there. What happened to that case? Why didn't you speak about that also?
Okay. Here's what we understood about what happened to that case,
and you can tell me.
Okay. Here's what we understood what happened to that case, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. That essentially the CBCID submitted a report to the state government asking for sanction to prosecute Yogi Adityanath on some of these charges that are read out, and that report is still, from what I understand, still stuck with the state government. They've not given sanctions. So that's where the case lies.
I think my stand gets vindicated. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You can arrest, you can do if you are in the government and you want to play a mischief, it does happen. But at the end of the day, there is a court. When you can't justify and you can't corroborate with evidences, you go scot-free. Now, there should be a reverse case against those who had tried to book him. And certainly, I think this will stop politically motivated cases in this country.
Okay, let me ask you about now the priorities for this government. One of the first things that you seem to have done is to have started shutting down slaughterhouses. There's a little bit of confusion on this, which maybe you can help us clear up. Your manifesto said that you will essentially be shutting down illegal slaughterhouses. But in some of the speeches made by the BJP's leaders, they said all slaughterhouses will be shut down. So, is it just illegal or is it all?
Well, I'm holding my manifesto here, and it is very clearly mentioned illegal slaughterhouses. So there is no confusion. What is illegal in the state, irrespective whether it is slaughterhouse or any other activity, we need to shut it down. That's how the law and order machinery will start working in this state.
Okay, so those two slaughterhouses which were shut down in Allahabad, which is actually your own constituency, those were illegal, were they?
Well, that's what I understand from the administration, that they were illegally operating and therefore they have been shut down.
Okay, so there's no sort of fear that this is because some of the slaughterhouses and the owners of these slaughterhouses, a huge industry, as you know, in Uttar Pradesh, the licensed slaughterhouses are concerned that this could affect them as well. But you're saying it's only those that are illegal. So that's an important clarification. Thanks very much for that. I just want to ask you very quickly in conclusion about one other promise, which is of a loan waiver, which is also part of your manifesto. Is that going to be announced soon as well?
Well, the Prime Minister himself had said, and that in the first cabinet meeting, this will be taken up. So hopefully the first cabinet meeting will be coming up very soon, and this will form part of the agenda.
Now, this, according to some estimates, is going to result in a 8% hit to you, like revenue-wise. There's likely to be a roughly 27,000 or 27 to 30,000 crore impact, loss to the banks if you go ahead with this. Do you think Uttar Pradesh is financially able to deal with, such a strain on its budget?
Well, if you look at from a macro picture, it looks the Uttar Pradesh cannot take this burden, but there are means by which we can plug these gaps where there are pilferages, and this can help in tweaking many of the revenues. So I'm quite sure, taking example from what the central government did through direct benefit transfer and many other schemes, where we were able to cut down on pilferages of subsidies, we will be able to match this loss and compensate it.
Siddharth, do you...
This is Aarti Jairath.
Hi, Aarti.
Hi, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And what is your portfolio going to be?
Well, let's wait for maybe another 12 to 24 hours. We should have that.
Okay. Well, we hope it's a good one because you deserve it. And we hope that we'll let you go now, because I know that you just promised us 5 minutes. We've already gone over time. But we certainly hope that the presence of people like you will ensure that this government is indeed about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Thanks very much indeed, Siddharth Singh, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
On the debate. Well, before we move on now to the question of whether Yogi Adityanath has moved beyond his legacy, let's listen to some of his statements. Siddharth Singh challenged the basis of some of the cases that were filed against him, saying that these are legally contested. But few would argue that there's very little one can do to argue against the statements that he's made. Very, very provocative and divisive statements made over the years. Before we go to the rest of our panel, which has been waiting patiently, let's listen in to some of them first.
अगर एक हिंदू को मारेंगे तो 100 को हम भी मारेंगे। वह जिस प्रकार का व्यवहार करेगा उसका 100 गुना हम लोग करेंगे। यहाँ से ही तो वापस करेंगे। जब परिवार नियोजन की बात आएगी, कहेंगे हमारा मजहब इसको अलाउ नहीं करता। उस समय कहेंगे हमारा मजहब अलाउ नहीं करता। पैदावार हो धान की, गेहूं की, गन्ने की, फसल की पैदावार हो, ठीक बात है, अच्छी बात है, लेकिन ये दोपहिया जानवरों की पैदावार बंद करवानी पड़ेगी।
शाहरुख खान को इस बात को याद रखना चाहिए कि अगर इस देश का बहुसंख्यक समाज उनकी फिल्मों का बहिष्कार कर देगा तो एक आम मुसलमान की तरह उनको भी सड़कों पे भटकना पड़ेगा।
इस देश की समस्या न भूखमरी है न गरीबी है, इस देश की समस्या है तो वह जो इस देश में वोट बैंक की राजनीति ने जिहादी जुनून पाला हुआ है। आखिर इस देश का विभाजन क्या भूख के कारण हुआ? क्या देश का विभाजन का कारण कोई गरीबी थी? ये सब बकवास है, ये सब झूठा है। देश का विभाजन मजहब के आधार पर हुआ। मजहबी जुनून ने देश का विभाजन किया था। मजहबी जुनून ने इस देश के सामाजिक ताने बाने को छिन्न भिन्न किया था।
All right, Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the BJP, thank you for being with us. Aarti Jairath, we already saw there, thanks for being here. Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Sambit, you possibly heard some of those statements made by Yogi Adityanath. Would you still defend him and say that this is someone who has the qualifications to lead a diverse state, a religiously and communally and just a vast diverse state as Uttar Pradesh, given those sorts of very, very disturbing statements that he's made and has not retracted, by the way?
No, it's okay. I have heard those statements. And as far as whether I would defend him or not, well, yes, I would defend him. Why not? He is a very popular face today of Uttar Pradesh. And in fact, he is a very popular face amongst the cadres of Bharatiya Janata Party as well. And the reason as to why I would defend him is because of the very fact that many of us staying on grand ivory towers are unable to palpate as to what is happening on the ground in Uttar Pradesh. And that is the reason as to why those staying in the ivory towers could not see what was coming their way.
No, but Samit, just a second. Samit, I think there are two different things here. One may be the misreading or the lack of being able to fathom the scale of the mandate. But here we're now talking about your chief ministerial choice, who's just said on record, we just heard him say,
I'm connecting the dots.
Heard him say that he actually says that things like malnutrition and poverty is not the main priority for a state like Uttar Pradesh. The jihadi mindset is.
Not at all. He has spoken about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas yesterday in his press conference. He has spoken about development yesterday in his press conference. So we cannot say that he does not want development. He wants development. That is a prioritized agenda. But
sure, but he's not disowned those statements, though. He's not disowned this kind of rhetoric.
You have asked me a question. I think even if you repeat that, your question does not change. I have got the essence of your question. Let me answer it. If you interrupt continuously, I would not be able to complete a few sentences. Thank you. Number one has to understand as to why Yogi Adityanath is liked. One has to understand as to why he is a 5-time member of parliament. It is not that his constituency, Gorakhpur, is not a diverse constituency. It is not that his constituency does not have a representation of Muslims or people from different castes and creeds. It has Muslims also. Muslims are happy within his constituency and are continuously voting for him. Now as to why we love Adityanath, and
I would be a little wary of making those generalized statements because we don't have factual evidence. You can be absolutely wary. You can be absolutely wary, Srinivasan. I mean, others can also be wary, and that's the reason as to why many sitting in the ivory towers could not see the whole huge tsunami that was coming the way. And I'll tell you the reasons as to why you could not see that. That's not the
on
debate.
The ground, the three important reasons.
Yeah.
No, I'm coming there. Where you have missed the bus, I'm telling you. And that I'll connect the dot to Yogi Adityanath. You have to just have a bit of patience, Mr. Srinivasan. Number one, the three main issues on the ground of Uttar Pradesh, that which has made Yogi Adityanath extremely popular. Number one, appeasement. Number two, police stations where people thought they would get justice in case of injustice were grounds of discrimination on the basis of religion.
Okay.
And number three, development was lacking, and whatever little the government tried to do, that was also discriminatory in nature.
Okay, let me bring in Aarti Jared here.
That when the polls
let me bring in Aarti Jared here. It's interesting if you look at all of these points that Sambit has raised. If you take the first one of appeasement, this is something that has been the BJP's old trope for a very long time, pseudo-secularism, that the sort of secular politics practiced by the likes of the Congress and Samajwadi Party is essentially minority appeasement, and the corrective to that should be even-handed development. There should be no special favors to any one community. But instead what you have is pseudo-secularism in reverse. You have the head of a religious institution who's now actually been made chief minister.
Absolutely.
This would be, I mean, the equivalent would be if, let's say, someone like Mukhtar Ansari was made chief minister, or if, say, someone like Imran Masood was made chief minister. Though he's not a religious figure.
Mukhtar Ansari?
It's
how
like
is Mukhtar Ansari compared to
when the
Yogi
Ayatollahs
Adityanath?
took over Iran?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were sort of religious figures,
yeah,
and they took over as head of state. And
that's
so
that's
on,
a better parallel. That's a better parallel.
I mean, and this is what I can't understand. I mean, in a country where religion is supposed to be separate from politics, it's supposed to be separated from the state.
Yeah.
How have we brought in the head of a religious mutt as the administrative head of India's largest, India's most populous and politically most crucial state?
I know, it's extraordinary.
How have we done that? I mean, religion is supposed to be separate from the state, right?
I don't know, and this is from
It's
a party
like
this is from a party that speaks out against religious appeasement.
That's right.
And then goes and does its own. Other parties, they say, do minority appeasement. This is majority appeasement. Can I bring in Ghanshyam Tiwari here? Ghanshyam Tiwari, one of the problems we were just debating earlier about this whole question of the cases against Yogi Adityanath is that you've had an SP government in power, you've had a BSP government in power, and yet these cases have simply dragged on. I mean, aren't you also responsible for playing politics here? That you've held back sanctions, you've held back, you've delayed the progress of these cases, and then you turn around and say, look, Yogi Adityanath has all these charges pending against him.
I would speak on this and the other two things Sambit mentioned. One, about the cases. There are more than 15 cases, and there is a natural blame that any past administration should take. The aspect could be political. It's a natural blame to take that why have those cases not progressed. But that said,
yes, but that blame rests, and that blame does rest on your government as well, because your government has been in power for the past 5 years.
So I'm saying that
have not budged an inch.
I'm saying that blame is natural. The cases play out in courts, and a number of important cases, not just these, a number of important cases have gone on and on in court cases, partly due to judiciary and administrative reasons, partly due to political reasons.
Right.
So I don't have a separate point of view from what you are talking about. I accept it. There could be political reasons, there could be judicial reasons. I have not gone deep enough to be able to comment. But if you look at the 3 points that Sambit made about appeasement, the counter appeasement that Adityanath ji is doing is visible in his statements. About development, he clearly said that malnutrition and hunger does not matter. In speaking in parliament, he has said on women that women energy or power should be controlled lest it become destructive. This is in Economic Times today. On women education, he says women must be educated lest Western notion of feminism takes over. So somebody who dismisses malnutrition and hunger, somebody who dismisses women's ambition and education, and the third thing he talked about, how Yogi Adityanath ji is expert in handling law and order situation. Well, if he has cases like IPC 153A, 295, 506, more than 10-15 of them, well, he has first-hand experience. We can debate whether those were delays due to political reasons or judiciary reasons, but clearly they are not a badge of honor to display and cannot be counted as experience that allows him to improve law and order.
Okay, Sambit, don't you think as a starting point, it would have been prudent for Yogi Adityanath to at least have issued some sort of a retraction of those statements that he's made, the ones that we just played?
No, absolutely not. First and foremost, I would like to begin with, you would be feeling as to why I was
absolutely not. You're saying that there's no need for him to retract those statements, where he said that if one of us die, 100 of theirs will die. The main problem is not malnutrition, but the jihadi mindset.
Srinivas, you have to allow other spokespersons to speak. I mean, you did not disturb the Samajwadi Party spokesperson to allow me to speak as well, or else you can do the speaking. He never said ki hundreds should die. That was the people who in fact referred back. He just made the first statement. He never said that he wants to kill someone. He has been extremely candid in things which are there on the ground, but he has never talked of jumping the gun. He has never talked of jumping the law of this land. Secondly, why I was smiling all through, I'll tell you very frankly, right now Aarti Jairath went to the extent of saying that it is akin to almost an Islamic head taking over in Iran or Syria.
Right.
I would tell you, Aarti, the difference only is, had it been a similar situation, then you and me would not have been criticizing him. And if it would have been Syria or Iran, then we would have been beheaded if we would have criticized them.
Okay,
that you
so
drink
now
water from the morning till evening and criticize.
So now is this the new normal, that we have to be grateful that we're not being beheaded for speaking up?
No. You had the audacity of comparing India with Syria, and you don't have to be grateful. I was smiling at the foolishness.
I
was smiling at the foolishness that you lost the election. You lost the election, and you were comparing UP with Syria.
Who lost the election?
We didn't even contest. We didn't even contest.
Intelligent people are enough intelligent to understand who lost the election, by the way.
Let's get off this point.
You can understand who lost the election.
Okay.
Those standing on the ivory chairs lost the election.
Okay, just a second. Let us respond. Yes, go ahead.
Aarti, sometimes I feel more than Ghanshyam, you lost the election.
Okay.
I lost the election.
Let's not personalize it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sambit, please, hear yourself speak. I hope you realize that, what you're talking is sheer nonsense.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, he made 3 points.
I have realized that. The
Sambit,
moment you compare
Sambit,
this
can
whole
we take
thing
the debate
with
to
an
a slightly
Islamic
more
ruler in
serious level
Iran
now? Sambit,
or
can
Syria,
we
do you
take
think
the
I
debate to a
should sit back?
slightly more serious level and not get
Yeah,
so
yeah,
personal
Archie,
now?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Archie.
Yes, yes.
He made
Yeah, yeah.
3 points.
Let's go to ISIS
He made
now.
3 points. And in all the 3 points, he talked about discrimination. He said appeasement and something. But basically what he ended up saying was that, Hindus have been discriminated against and Muslims have got all the benefits.
Yes.
All right. Now, we have a report called the Sachar Committee report, which I think has explained the status of Muslims in this country,
Yes.
very well.
Yes.
And basically said that they are even worse off than Dalits in many places.
Yes.
Now, if they'd actually been appeased and been given all these benefits, that Sambit Patra is talking about, they should have been far better off than the report showed us. So, how does he account for this so-called discrimination, which, has left the Muslims at the bottom of the heap, probably amongst the most impoverished community in this country? What are the benefits? This is you're feeding into some kind of persecution complex, that the majority community, you're just feeding into that kind of persecution complex of the majority community.
We're in that time. We're in the time of post-truth politics. That time is all around us. Wherever you are in the world, we are in that time. So we'll have to leave it there. We're completely out of time. Sambit, I know you want to come in, but I know what that means.
People of Uttar Pradesh do not know the truth. I wanted to say this, that do you think
10
that
seconds.
people of Uttar Pradesh do not know the truth and they are living in a post-truth era? Absolutely not. You and me would not have been knowing much and we may be living in some other era, but people are intelligent enough to select their votes extremely intelligently.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think they voted for Yogi Adityanath because you did not project him as the chief minister.
Okay,
they voted for Narendra Modi.
Even if it would have
If
been
you had
anyone else, he
projected
would have
him as
thought the
chief
same, by the
minister,
way.
I would have agreed with you.
We're out of time. That's another debate, and we will, of course, continue to debate this. Thanks very much indeed, all of you, for joining us. That's it on the Election Center. From all of us here, goodbye.